the fastest way to get rid of acne. I would consider myself an expert on acne simply because I had it really, really bad for so many years. It made me very introverted. I was very shy. It actually is just devastating for a teenager to have that. I wish I knew what to do back then. But if you have acne, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. Back then, I thought you just needed to scrub your face and clean out those pores and maybe use different lotions. That just made it worse. People will tell you to avoid junk food and sugar and things like that. But there's something else that is very essential to preventing acne. And then if you have it, to get rid of it. I stumbled on this information when I was searching patents on acne, patenting certain natural remedies to get rid of acne, blemishes and inflammation of the skin, and even scarring from acne. What I found was very interesting. There was 4 patents I looked at, and all 4 of them had a common denominator. They were using a sulfur compound. Then I looked on Amazon and I started looking at sulfur creams for acne, and there was like a whole bunch of different ones. And I'm like, wait a second, what is the sulfur doing that's helping get rid of acne? And are we deficient in sulfur? Are people that are more prone to acne having a sulfur deficiency? I found that a lot of them are. And then you might think, okay, so where can I get sulfur? Well, it's in onions, garlic, cruciferous vegetables. Would that be the best source of sulfur? Actually not. First, let me just tell you what sulfur does. Sulfur helps decrease inflammation, also increase hydration of the skin as well. Sulfur also increases collagen, which is really interesting. So it can help with fine lines and even wrinkles. That's probably why they use sulfur in a lot of joint remedies to help hydration and lubrication of the joint. Sulfur is basically drying up this excess oil in the actual acne, and it also helps regulate the hormones that are behind the situation. I'm talking about androgens, because androgens are very high when you're a teenager. You have this excess production of this, it's called sebaceous gland, that produces more oil, and sulfur can help regulate that production. And on top of that, sulfur helps regulate insulin. And we all know when we eat too much sugar or carbs, insulin will increase, and that can increase androgens. Here we have the sulfur that can help normalize insulin, as well as the androgens that come right after that. And then I started to look at what would deplete sulfur: grains, sugars, seed oils, the main 3 ingredients in most junk food, but also fructose, as in high fructose corn syrup. And of course, alcohol will do it as well. Yes, junk food does cause acne, but one of the reasons why is it depletes sulfur. If there's some way we could still eat the level of junk food that we want, yet add a little sulfur, maybe we could prevent our acne. And I'm being very sarcastic. You don't want to do that. Now that you know what sulfur does, why might you be deficient in sulfur? You actually get sulfur from plants, okay, like garlic and onions and cruciferous and other foods, but that's only a tiny, tiny bit. The majority of sulfur that you get from your diet actually comes from protein. There are many amino acids, but there are 2, and that's where you get most of your sulfur. And the 2 amino acids are methionine and cysteine. If we take away calcium and phosphorus, sulfur is the most abundant mineral in the body, so we need a lot of it. This leads me to the question, what foods are the highest in those 2 amino acids, and what foods should we eat less of to get rid of our acne as fast as possible? And believe it or not, the number 1 food is eggs. Number 2 is fish, then beef, then lamb, and then cheese, and then organ meats. All of those are very high in those 2 amino acids, high in sulfur. You have to realize that you also need to avoid the sugar, the starch, which basically blocks those amino acids from working that well, and anything that increases insulin, which is sugar and starch. And when I say starch, I'm talking about the breads, the pasta, the cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, pancakes, muffins, things like that. But if you just get rid of the sugar and the starch and you don't increase the sulfur-based amino acids, you may not get rid of your acne. Try this experiment. Start consuming more animal-based protein. Of course, make sure it's as quality as possible. I'm talking about eggs, I'm talking about fish, I'm talking about meat. Instead of the carb breakfast, do protein. Go ahead and try this, and then comment down below how fast your acne goes away.